Test, test, test. Can anyone hear me? Is anyone there? It's been a while since I've done any live stream, so I wonder if I'm actually being recorded other than video. How's my audio? This is mute. Okay. I guess everything is working properly. It's been a while that I'm almost like relearning the controls. I'm using SteamYard and StreamYard, yeah, not Steam. So it's been a while. Anyway, so this is the first live stream that I've done in a long time. Certainly the first one for 2024. Going to be putting this into YouTube, Facebook, and the DioWarriors store on Facebook. And just wanted to kind of get it out there, that basically, DioWarriors is moving, and lots of things have to go. I'm currently in the process of taking photos and putting things onto the clearance item in the store. And I am about to begin to disassemble the VSS that's right here. And everything's happening very, very quick. So there's really very little time for. We're hoping on moving things like that, but years from now. But this is kind of sudden, and so we're kind of scrambling very much at the last minute because we don't have any more time. And so I was thinking of, I was kind of wondering about, like, what do I do with the VSS project? What do I do with some other items that I have? The store has a lot of items that I was currently making. I think the best that I've been able to design, I was currently working on, little very finely detailed products, things from, what you call it, like not a forklift, but a scissor lift, and other workable items, better details on the props, the computers, the various controls, the consoles, and basically going up a few steps. But now all of that is kind of like in limbo. So right now, like, for example, obviously I'll be taking my laptop with me, but the main computer and things that I use for for design and things like that, that's staying for later. So that's not coming with me. So part of this stream is kind of to test the hardware streaming through this laptop. I have equipment over there in Thailand already, so I can resume doing a stream over there, especially now that I got the software here worked out on the laptop. So when I get there, I'll be able to, update everybody and do a stream, things like that. I'm going to switch over to the comment section. If people have questions or they want to see certain things being put on the clearance item on the store clearance section, let me know. I got all kinds of stuff, not just props and things like that, but I've got like paints and things that really need to go. If you're a customizer and you want some high quality paints and things like that, I've got stuff that I cannot take with me. Acrylic paints, water based, they're okay for travel, but enamels, with the fumes from that, lacquer paints, things like airbrush cleaners, things like that, things with flammable stuff, obviously can't take those on the plane, so I have to get rid of them. And so I got stuff like that really needs to go. I am working on a hard deadline, so I don't have a whole lot of room to, you know, beautify anything, finish up anything, get things ready for the final, whatever. It has to go as is, basically. So I'm just going to leave it a little bit more time, see if anyone else joins the, I guess the chat and things like that. I'm going to check Facebook. I'm not completely set up on everything yet, in terms of like what you would see of a YouTuber doing a more professional stream. I have to switch back and forth on Facebook and see if there's any comments. I believe the YouTube comments do appear on the StreamYard stuff that I'm using, but everything else is I have to manually switch and take a look. I'm going to do another tab. Got a tab for Facebook there, but now I got to do a tab on the DioWarriors store, I think. Let me just search DioWarriors store. Okay. So, anyways, just organizing the tabs. Okay. So, thing is, here's the VSS. If you are not familiar with the VSS, let me recap a little bit. The VSS is a creation by Victor Garcia. It's a very nice template for a diorama. It's an aircraft carrier or a space carrier. It's very friendly for different figure types, different brands. You can put it for a Star Wars brand. You can do it with G.I. Joe. Other brands, Acid Rain, and Joy Toy stuff. The VSS project is superb for a diorama. It's basically it's a diorama in a box. It's what you see right here, though. This is my VSS. It's incomplete. My VSS is actually twice as long. I'm combining two VSSs together. There is to be a flight deck on top, some more rooms on top, the bridge on top of that. But this VSS is going to be, would be twice as long. So it's about 4 feet long, so it'll be 8 feet. I do have, I'll have to move the cameras a little bit. But I have only a portion of the engine room, which is an extension. So this is about 2 feet, almost 2.5 feet, maybe, about 2.5 feet more. So it'll be around 12 feet, this particular VSS. That was the intention. So now, because it is a large project, it's been taking me quite a while to work on. I took this to Joe Fest 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and so people there was able to see what I had done at that point. Since then, I've redone the VSS from that time. The engine room is basically the same from what I showed at Joe Fest, but everything else has been redone. Everything I'm doing with it is modular. Instead of gluing pieces, I've gone more on screws. So you can see, some Allen screws there, Torx screws. Things are adjustable, so I can put, certain parts and have things, extend longer, shorter, just to make certain reaches. As I was working on this particular VSS, I began to realize that I really need my VSS to be a little bit taller. So I went ahead and purchased some extruded aluminum rails. These are 300 millimeters long. they would basically make the VSS into for each deck, it could have enough space to put 2 floors on there. So I was working on using these rails to be the supports for the next deck that goes on top. So in a nutshell, that's the that was the goal for this particular VSS. It was going to be a Cobra space carrier. The interior was going to be all 3D printed. I was putting deck floors on there. Each deck floor had removable grills, so you could put a greeble underneath the grill and have details. I'll show that in just a bit. The outside of the VSS was going to be also 3D printed. I had these. Actually, let me go get that. I have those. I have 2 particular items currently out. I can show that real fast, give it an idea. So the outside of the VSS was going to have these types of structures just attached. I haven't quite worked out the way they were going to attach on this incarnation of the VSS, but on the previous one, the one I took to Joe Fest, it was just going to have some like clips, 3D printed, that would have spanned the entire length of the outside of the hull, both on the port and the starboard side. And then I would have had a structure, set up that I can just rest on the MDF wood. And that would have been one deck. Then the other deck would have been on top. And, so this structure would have been just on, this would have been a structure like this on top. And the bottom one would have been something like that. And then, I would have just joined whatever gap in between with some other pieces, greebelize for equipment, things like that, tubing, other equipment, weapon systems, things like that. And so these things would have been on one of the deck. This structure would have been a corridor, allowing personnel to travel from one section of the VSS out without having to travel inside. And the other one would have been like some sort of fighter launch catapult system, something like you see off of Battlestar Galactica or something like that. And then, of course, the top of the VSS would have been a flight deck, more on the traditional side. But as I was designing it, the flight deck would have been covered. G.I. Joe vehicles, Cobra vehicles, especially the Stiletto would have been the primary spacecraft, and those would have been inside of a hangar. And then it would have been the bridge for the VSS, and the bridge would have been elongated from the standard, so it would have been a longer bridge. The front part of the bridge would be like the standard VSS, but then the back part would have been large enough to put a conference table, and other things like that, probably a stairs or an elevator or something like that that could bring the bridge crew down to the other levels. Right now, things are a bit of a mess, especially under the table here. I've been like putting things and then just kind of put it under the table, so things are resting on top of things. I say that because I have a working scissor lift somewhere, and I wanted to to show that with the scissor lift, probably I might leave this for another video, but with the scissor lift, it worked. I could, I had a small one, just large enough for several figures to get lifted up to another level. But the scissor lift would work great for a vehicle lifting unit, to kind of lift up a vehicle, or even as some sort of elevator unit for fighters or other spacecraft to go to a launch deck, flight deck, and put the scissor lift on the side. I could have done it where it would have had like an airlock. The idea being, like if you had another spacecraft, VSS, parked right next to it, the scissor lift would have come out, and personnel could walk inside the airlock. So, but those were the plans. So now the plans are kind of up in the air. They're not completely gone or abandoned or anything like that. They're on hold. Unfortunately, the situation is that I cannot take the VSS with me to Thailand. It's too big. So I'm going to have to disassemble basically everything on the inside. The outside, the MDF wood, I'm not sure what to do with that. Maybe I'll have to toss it out. I really don't know. But the inside is going to come along with me. I'm looking really quick to see if I have anything that I can show without having to pull something directly from the VSS. Oh yeah, I got stuff to show. So I went ahead and designed a bunch of deck plates, and the deck plates, they kind of resemble the Joy Toy stuff, but not quite. But these are my own. Oh, I should put the cam. I'm treating the microphone as the camera. So here is the deck plate. This is one. It's similar in style to like a Joy Toy one, but this is my incarnation of it. The underside is with a bunch of grooves and things like that I can attach other items to it. I'll give you an example. Well, this one won't be a good example. I have other stuff right here. Yeah, I could show this. Hold on. I got, of course, everything's in the way because I don't have the space at the moment. I'm moving things around. Okay. So, slippery. So here was the last thing that I was working on before we got the news that we had to start packing up and go. This is the underside of the floor for one of the top levels. I have a lot of the items kind of not glued or anything like that. Everything is just attached right now by friction or by screws. So you can see that here's the grills or the meshes, the floor grating. So their actual grating light can go through. So instead of having a scene underneath in dark and shadow, some LED lights on top will filter through and illuminate things on the bottom. The last thing I was working on was putting little consoles like this. Let's see, can the camera? Yeah. With a special connecting unit. This one's not set up yet for it, but the idea would have been to have consoles on top that can turn, pivot, and move around. So on some of the older pictures, you can see some of the troopers, manning stations. So above them would have been, a bunch of greebles, tubing, tubing, and wiring and other things like that, plus consoles. Above them, at at normal height, things like that, just like what you would expect to find in a spaceship or a submarine or something where you're surrounded by equipment. So I wanted to give that sense of tightness. Let's see, let me get this out the way. I'll put this back. So all of these little items really have to go. And so what I'm trying to reason right now is that what goes with me and what stays. Another one of my dilemmas is that show right here. One of the last things I was working on, this is not glued or anything like that, so it's kind of loose right now. But one of the last things I was working on is I was building up the inventory for these structures. This is just a simple, just basically it's like a greeble, just some sort of generic machine. The idea, you could put tubing, you could put something else on top of the equipment, some sort of system inside the cabinet thing here, and have something that looks industrial for background. Okay. So that was the intent there. So I was in the process of making a bunch of inventory of this, printing a bunch of these yellow items, a bunch of the gray items, getting everything ready, bagged up, labeled, and getting that ready just to put on the store. So, when someone ordered, I could just ship right away. What has been happening for several years is print on demand. But that's taken up a lot of time, especially now that the customers were getting more. So I was getting more orders. So that meant longer time. People had to wait. So I was trying to change and remedy all that by having items already ready to go, and have those only on the store. So when people ordered, I could just turn around, pull them off the shelf, put them into the box, and they go. So I have a bunch of these items that's a lot of light, huh? Maybe I could cut down on the glare. Let me see. How is that? So I have a bunch of these items that really, they're incomplete, and I'm not quite sure what to do with them. Obviously, I can't take them all with me, so I'll have to. Well, what I'm thinking of doing is leaving them with someone at the moment. That when I get settled over there in Thailand, that I'm able to resume printing and production and things like that, I could have those items sent to me, and then I can continue with them and have items, ready to go. That's my current thought. Nothing is glued, so parts are coming off. So yeah, everything is a tight fit. Yeah, everything's real tight fit. Let me see if there's any comments. Do I need to? I guess I don't need to. Well, maybe I need to just refresh the browser. sometimes I really don't like the way Facebook has their pages. I refreshed the browser and I lost where the link for the stream was. Um, yeah, I need to. Facebook. I gotta search my own store. Okay, I'm taking a look at my profile page, refreshing that. Okay. Okay, I'm back in the stream window. So that's basically where I am right now. Everything basically has to go, so I'm trying to shed off a lot of stuff, and things need to go on the store. Right now, my figure collection is staying put until I get settled over there. For those who are curious, let me see. Here is the figure collection. It's mostly IKEA stuff. Shelves. So a lot of it's in shadow and dark because I put the instead of glass shelving, I put wood. I was working on it where I was going to have the top level with wood, so I could have something fancy like a laser cut sign, things like that. Like for example, that would have been a laser cut sign on the top for GI Joe. The next one would have been for Cobra. Third for Cobra. Fourth for miscellaneous like boss fight stuff, Acid Rain, Machine and Krieger, Joy Toy, Microman. I have those down there, and things like that. And then it would have been Cobra stuff again, and then Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Creative Beast Studios, things like that. So what I think I might be able to do, let me just tighten this back. Let me see. Yeah, something like this. Oh, that's my arm. Okay. I might be able to give a small little tour. I think what I'm going to have to do. Oh no, what I can do is this. I can just simply remove the cam, I think, from this little tab. Yeah. Okay. So depending on how long the wires are, and let's see, what do y'all see? The inside of the VSS, the engine room. This is only part of it. I have a console there on the side, as you can see. Consoles would have been where this figure's at. Mirror to the other side, consoles over there too. There's a lot of greeble type layering here. The idea would have been to have tubing, wires, other kinds of stuff coming out from the lower levels and being inserted into gaps and things, into ports really, between the floors, between the equipment. And where that warp core is, there would have been a special greeble to receive some of those tubings and wirings, and then going underneath the warp core itself. So like everything is being wired and all that, to have that. The back area where those doors are would have been more greebled. I started to change the back part there, putting Joy Toy style floors and things, but my own interpretation of them, and to do like an upper deck. So the walkway area here would have had uh, some floor grading, and it would have extended. This would be the halfway mark for the engine room. Then the other section would have been here with the engine blocks that I took to Joe Fest. I have these types of flame lights, so the engine would have been illuminated by those. So things would have had a nice glow coming out from the exhausts, and whatever openings that I had, some of that engine glow would have been spilling into the engine room. The reason why the floors were done in laser cut aluminum acrylic. They're actually acrylic, but they have a surface to look like aluminum. The reason why they were done like that, so I could get some of that shine where the light would have spilled over, and I would have gotten some gleams. I would have gotten some nice light effect. And because if it's just all gray or just plastic or something like that, it would have been the lights and stuff would have been just swallowed up. So here is, I don't want to pull the wires too much. So the this area here was designed to be strong, so I could put a speaker. So here's a little Bluetooth speaker. The idea was that throughout the VSS, and one reason why it would have had a taller decks is so I can put little things for special effects, such as wiring for LED lights, but also for wiring on the power for things like Bluetooth speaker. So the idea was that I could put background sounds, machine sounds, engine thruster sounds, things that sounds appropriate for an engine room, background chatter, talking, the beep beep of a computer system, things like that. And that would have been on a continuous loop and just playing back. And so here, the light down there that you see is my own how to say, embedding USB LED lights in a PCB board. So the consoles themselves would have been illuminated also. I bought some very, very thin optic fiber, so I was working on that also. This would have been the console, not console, the computer rack, really, that would have had, you can't really see it, can you? Maybe I can put it like this here. Yep. So that one actually has openings and things that the optic fiber would have connected to. So these particular what you call it? This particular console plate or face plate was being designed to have holes. You can see the holes more on this one. So the optic fiber would have gone through for that. And yeah, you can see it more there. So yeah, things would have had optic fiber. I got some very small drills. I mean, like really, really small drills for drilling those holes. It would have taken some effort, but it was coming along. Everyone likes to have their flag hanging up in a workshop. So I was working on Cobra flag system, The idea is that being a space vessel, no gravity, so the or very low gravity, so the flag would have just, if it was just cloth, would have just gone whatever way and getting in the way. So I went ahead and thought about it and was thinking, well, I can make the flag kind of like in a picture frame, have some sort of rigid background to it. So the idea is that you have this cloth over something rigid that's keeping the top and bottom stationary. And I was currently in the process of designing a little like hydraulic system that would have had that if the flag was in the way, the flag could have been like raised up and lower down, depending on the need of the situation. If they're in battle, if they need access to machinery behind, they could have done that. Move the flag out of the way without actually having someone climb a ladder or get on a scissor lift to remove, some sort of flag. Press a button, the flag, through some hydraulics or something, or a pulley system, gets pulled out of the way. So the engine room would have had two of these flags, one on the starboard side and the other on port side. I was thinking maybe I can colorize the port and starboard side also. So I was kind of debating with the different Allen screws that I use. Like, for example, here I was thinking the port side to have red color screws, and the starboard side would have had maybe green colored screws. I haven't done the green. The idea is that you're a crew on the ship. If there's a battle situation or some confusion and things like that, it's instead of relying on, I guess, memory of where things are, if someone comes up, they can say, if they're all confused, all they have to do is just look at the colors and know which is port side and which is starboard. So I was going to do like the aircraft color of like red and green. Maybe I can get the camera further in. I don't want to pull the laptop because it's kind of like unstable. Okay, you see this? How does this look? Oh, not bad. Look at that. I was thinking about everything about the VSS was about for the camera, was going to be friendly for the camera. And so everything was being designed for eye candy. Designed it for play on lights and shadows in terms of color. So everything would have been really designed to maximize how things look on camera. Because it's just like a game. I hear people say that the worst part of gaming is not actually being in the game. It's boring to watch someone else play. You want to play too. So let me see about the camera here. So the idea was, to get the VSS very camera friendly, so that people can, take photos, embed a camera if they need to, put a small snake camera and take photos inside that and share it. See, I got more stuff on top. So the very last thing before I had to stop everything, the very last thing that I was doing was working on this top section. So there would have been the original idea was to basically seal it off with a wall over the corridor. So the wall would have had tubing and things like that above, piping, things like that above. Then I started to think well, I can maximize the upper floor if I just go all the way across instead of dividing the floor with some walls. So then I started to see what would it take for me to have some floors spanning the distance here, and then I can fill in the gaps with, uh, custom floors, things like that. And so that's where I left off. And so what you see here is, me just testing to see how things would have worked. In terms of the room layouts, well, obviously this is the engine room. This would have been kind of like a generic room. At the moment, this is a room for various ship operations. This is modeled after the NASA tracking station for the Saturn rockets, really. So that's what this was modeled after, those consoles and such. You can see there's a bunch of little holes up here and things. Tubing or wiring would have been going to them just for dramatic look. The openings on the consoles themselves, those were going to be laser cut and just some sort of image laser cuts on some acrylic, probably green or maybe blue acrylic. And they're hollow. The consoles are hollow, so the idea is that I could have a light source behind each of the consoles, so the consoles themselves would have been illuminated. Trying to keep LED lights tucked away and looking more natural rather than just stringed across, I started to put LED lights inside the the beams, the bulkheads, things like that. And so these things have LED lights currently inside. I would have just had to finish wiring things out and then connecting everything. I started to rely a lot on magnets. So consoles have magnets that they can easily be pulled off. The magnets were they were small little bitty magnets. I mean, I got like 1 millimeter by 2, and then things like that. That's the smallest I think that I have. I got some that are like 2 millimeter diameter by 1 millimeter thick, and then from there I have like 1 millimeter thick by 3 millimeter diameter, and then I start to increase from there. So yeah, a lot of the consoles would have relied on magnets. You can see some of the magnets down here. I can use this as a pointer. So you see that those silver right there, that would have been, those are magnets right there. So almost all of these black 3D printed parts have magnets embedded in. So all this have magnets inside. And other parts would have had magnets also. The idea is that even though the VSS, especially this VSS, is quite large, it's not large enough to put everything that we do. So DioWarriors has medical props, generic machinery props, zombie lab type props. Not the zombie lab from like the Joy Toy, or not the Joy Toy, not the zombie lab figure brand, but see back in I don't remember what year it was. It was the JoeCon that went to Dallas, and that was my first JoeCon that I went to, and I brought a diorama that I was working on, and I entered into the competition there, which I only got like honorable recognition. But that one was a self-contained diorama of a 2-floor laboratory. So there was zombie in there. There were people in hazmat suits, things like that. So the idea, so I started to call that one Zombie Lab, and this was like maybe a year or two, or maybe 3 years before the figures under the name of Zombie Lab came out. So not to be confused with the figures under the same name. So anyway, my Zombie Lab stuff, we do medical things for that, systems for that, various consoles and greebles and stuff for that. So those, we do things along those lines, and we do also things like vehicle maintenance type stuff, machinery for that. I mentioned already the scissor lift, and I'm going to try to move the camera even more. So the scissor lift and other things we were working on for vehicle maintenance. Plus, there's other things that we have. We have, props for, city things, sewer, stoplight, crosswalk, fire hydrants, and other things like that. So a lot of those things I was going to integrate in various ways into this VSS. And, for example, the stop sign, well, not stop sign, the stoplight type stuff. That would have been interesting for, like you have this big opening here in the VSS. If something was walking through like a loader, carrying a load, or what I would have done eventually was to do like a robotic forklift. If those things are moving through, to have some sort of stoplight signal, yellow, red, green, that kind of thing, for people on the other side to watch out, especially if they're in a machine also, like like a loader and all that. So I would have done something like that. One of the last things that I did, like a week before getting the word about having to move, I was working on stuff like this. This prop, the white one, that one came out when I did the original Zombie Lab that I took to JoeCon. But it would have been, I was currently in the process of considering redesigning this prop, making it more efficient about printing and using better techniques. So it would have been a much better print, much faster print also. And then having something like this, to put standard size machines. So, if you had wanted to have, some sort of industrial look to your diorama, I was working on the system to do that. And I still have plans to do it because, it takes a lot of design. So it'll be a shame to just throw it out. To kind of illustrate a bit more, let me get another thing here. You can probably see what I'm doing. Here is, well, it's not complete, missing the keyboard, but that prop there, was going to have something like this, where a figure can stand on top. And just put this figure there. And, I was thinking of putting something like, something like a handrail, somewhere around here, that kind of thing, being space in case there's sudden issues with gravity or something like that. The figures can hold on. I've been printing a whole lot of the fire extinguishers because just like a submarine, fire is the worst enemy for a spacecraft. So all around these bulkheads and everything would have been these magnet connection points so I could put a fire extinguisher there. So everywhere would have been some sort of fire extinguisher. There were other plans to have bins that open on the top that would have had, stuff for storage bins, as well as emergency, like a defibrillator. I can't pronounce it. Just medical equipment also. Um, Plus, not only that, but you can see here these items that I was working on with these cages. I would have had the cages mounted on various locations on bulkheads and things for different purposes. Some of them would have been for fire suppression. Some of them would have been for other types of stuff. And trying to get the wire. I don't want to pull everything out because I got the microphone connected to the same location. Okay. So maybe I could give a little tour. Maybe I can move the laptop too, a little bit closer. A little bit more of the VSS. You can see some of the underside stuff that I was working on. So things would have been quite interesting. I was getting things worked out. I was feeling really, really happy that after so long being away from Joe Fest, I was thinking like, well, maybe if I'm having this much success now, that I can start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, that maybe, next year, 2025 or something, I could have attended Joe Fest with an update. So that would have been something. These consoles, for example, that I was working on updating these. And so after doing, these types of machinery, I was thinking of printing a bunch of these particular consoles, these angular ones, and make those available. Oh, let's see if there's any messages. Okay. So I'm going to put the camera back on the little tripod. Unfortunately, you don't get the awesome view of the VSS. You get me. So. But anyway, if there's anyone here who wants to ask questions, or if they look at the video later and they want to ask questions, please let me know. I am thinking of go ahead and just start to disconnect the VSS now and start bagging things on the VSS now, because I really don't have time anymore to do anything else, really. I have to get things squared away as soon as possible. Oh, yeah. So, oh gosh. Well, I kind of think in a certain way by having the stream on, it's kind of nice to kind of just like relive the dream on this VSS. But I'm going to have to start taking it apart now. So anyway, so if you've been following the VSS, this particular VSS on the VSS group, Venomous Sea Serpent group on Facebook, the next time I post there, I'm going to have an update of like the overall plan with this VSS. as a temporary wall, I went ahead and used some foam board, made some frames for it, just temporary, just enough just to cover, these side windows for photo purposes. Because when I took a photo, I was with nothing covering up. You'll see the 3D printers behind. You'll see a wall behind, other things like that, and kind of takes away from the immersion of it. So I went ahead and started to print a frame for the for foam board, and the idea was that this was just a simple cover solution just to hide, the ugliness of the window with a real world, wall and other things behind it. So, but I like the idea. The foam board, especially with 3D printed frames all around, was a lot stronger than I had imagined it would be. I thought it was going to be more flimsy, but no. Right now, everything on this one is just stuck on by friction. But larger one here, I even got Allen screws. You can see some at the corners, around here, there. So that would have been some Allen screws there. And so the idea was that I can lock these frames, I guess you could say, these 3D printed frames into position without having to use glue. So the idea that I'm getting at is that I could remove the foam board and I can cut other things, a hatch for a door, a window, something along those lines like that. And I could take the foam board and I could either cover it up. When I was ready, I could just take it out, use another foam board, swap the frame, or use new frames with a wall that had greebles on it, and some sort of cutout, a window, a door frame, things like that. So because of that, I became encouraged to use foam board more often. And then part of me started to think, I'm using aluminum rails to extend the engine room. So part of me started to think, when we do the move, I could probably recreate the VSS instead of using MDF wood, using foam board. So I would have to use certain printers for it, especially I have a CR30. Unfortunately, the CR30 is not coming with me, so I'll have to buy a new CR30 over there in Thailand. So the CR30 is great for really long pieces. It's a sturdy machine. Unfortunately, it's Creality. They don't really have a great track record for quality in terms of like assembly and things like that. But in terms of machine performance, yes, they do have a good track record on that reliability with the machines, at least in my experience. But I say all of that because here is the top part of the VSS, and what you see here this is 4 foot long, is a 4 foot long 3D print that I did with the CR30 to protect the edges of the MDF wood, because the MDF well, the VSS was designed to be kind of easy to break down and transport. Unfortunately, wood, especially something like MDF wood, when you bang it around, the edges get flayed, parts get broken, cracked, things like that. Especially when you start putting the screw in, then the parts of the wood wants to separate along their layers and things like that. So I printed some protection, a protective sleeve, basically, for for this. This has it. The bottom deck of the main structure has it. I wonder if I can put. Nah, I'm not gonna do that right now. But anyway, yeah. Get this out. So anyway, that's my battle plan with the VSS here. What I would like to do is to disassemble everything that you see, and I'm going to try to transport that with me over there to Thailand. What I would have to do with the foam board, over there they have something called future board. It's not quite foam board. It's kind of like a plastic layer. It's like a cord. What do you call it? The cardboard that has the zigzags inside. I forget right now. But anyway, it's kind of like that, but all plastic. It's used for signage and other things. It's rather sturdy. So I was thinking of simply printing things like this, with a little, groove inside, and then just using that foam board or future board to recreate the VSS tile by tile. So it's doable. It really is doable. I won't recreate everything. I won't recreate the bridge because the bridge is done in ABS plastic, and it's a good bridge. So I won't need to recreate that. So probably the bridge is going to come with me, not in this particular trip coming up, but in one of the future trips that I have to do. So the bridge is going to go with me eventually. The MDF wood, probably, if someone wants it, I guess they're welcome to it. I don't know how much shipping would be, but this VSS is twice as long, twice as tall, with only because it's several VSSs. I don't remember how many, but I think it was like a total of 2 or 4 VSSs or something like that. Anyway, I don't have much time to ship things like that out. If someone is interested and I don't have the time to ship it out, it will have to wait until I come back in about 3 to 4 months, plus or minus. In which case, I will have to continue, packing and then getting this place ready for sale. So, shipping would be then, but none of the additional stuff, like the stuff on the inside, all the 3D printed stuff, except for the sleeves, like the long protective sleeves that I just showed, those would be included, but everything else would not be, because I would need all of that over there. So yeah, my VSS 002 is going to be redesigned. I kind of don't like that because I don't want to stray too far from the standard VSS that everyone already has. The big nice part of it is that whatever I do inside here would be compatible to what people already have. So none of the stuff that I have here is actually destructive. I did some uh, screw holes uh, there. That's the only thing that actually was destructive, only just for that. But everything else is non-destructive. Everything else is basically what you get from the regular VSS kit. The floors, they're not glued on. The bulkheads are not glued on. There's no additional screws. Everything fits tight. And so I didn't want to upset that particular approach. So, the idea is that what you see me do here, you could do for yourself too. And the idea was you can get the props, you can get the floors, you can get all these things, either from us or elsewhere. Very compatible. So anyway, that's it for now. I might do another stream sometime. Sometime in the next month, maybe within the next few days, or maybe next week. I'm not quite sure. Kind of winging it. But I do have items that need to be sold in clearance. I might do a stream, showing what items need to go. That takes time, so maybe I'll just take photos and just put it on the store. If you have questions about the VSS, about the future of DioWarriors, and I'll talk a little bit about that too before ending the video. But if you have any questions, or if you have things that I have done that I haven't taken any photos of, that you want for yourself, let me know. Excuse me. I got stuff like, in terms of things that need to go on the clearance, and if you're a customizer, I got a bunch of these mission model paints. They are great, high quality paints, really high quality paints, ideal for airbrushing or for using a paintbrush. They are acrylic based. They're very, very good paints. I have never been disappointed using these. I have a tray with them. It's a unique tray. I feel very proud of it. Unfortunately, I don't think it will survive being in the luggage going to Thailand. So I want to sell these paints probably in one go with the tray. And let me show the tray, but it's going to go into the clearance thing, so you'll see it there. Okay. So this is the tray that I went ahead and did. It's got a bunch of paints here. So all these paints are, and whatever I have loose around, like that bottle that I was showing. If I have others that I find before, I'll just include those, and it all goes. So the tray that I like, this one, when I was experimenting with laser cut stuff, I went ahead and did the engraving the DioWarriors logo on each item. The tray is designed so the paints kind of just hang there, so you can see the label, the color, whatever, the actual name for the color, because the paints do settle and separate. So, what looks like green is probably black or yellow or something like that. So, it's a simple construction with some wood. Unfortunately, I glued them, so I can't disassemble. The parts that concern me for travel are the areas that I just did only one layer of wood, which is the top here and the top of the bottom level. But the ones that the parts that are sturdy is the ones that are double wood, and it's just that these top areas I'm kind of scared about putting into the luggage, with clothing and all kinds of other stuff, being handled by the airlines and all that. You get the idea. Let me put this back before I step on it or something. And of course, I have this airbrush cleaner. So I got this to kind of clean up my airbrush. I'm going to try to use a little bit of it before going, if I have time. So it'll be used up just a little bit more because my airbrush is not very dirty at all. But I'm going to try to take my airbrush with me because they're expensive over there. But basically, this is right now it's a full 16 fluid ounces of airbrush cleaner. I may use 1 or 2 or whatever ounces or something, but this can't go on the airplane or anything like that, and I don't want to keep it in storage. So this has to go, or it's going to go into the trash. So if you're into customizing and you use airbrush, if you need a airbrush cleaner, this is going to be dirt cheap. I don't know how much, but it'll be a lot cheaper than ordering it on Amazon or something like that. Anyway, Anyway, let's see. So the future of DioWarriors itself. DioWarriors is not going away. It's only changing location. For those who do not know, DioWarriors is currently split between 2 states, between here in Florida and in Texas. But in Texas, we do different things. So only what I do here in Florida is focused on the toy stuff, figures, things like that. If you don't know, we have a 3D printer farm. It is a factory. Besides the 3D printer farm, we also have laser cutters, CO2 laser cutters, Dio laser cutters, for little special effects. I use a 3D printer pen, and so this is coming with me. But if you're into customizing and you do models or dioramas like this in this scale or other scales, get yourself a pen like this, because you can string cabling very nicely. You could simulate welding lines. It's a very useful tool for highlighting, making something look a little bit more real. But anyway, so DioWarriors is just changing location. However, it is going to affect production for a while because, like I said, I'm the one who deals with the toy side of things. And obviously, I have to stop production, which I have done, in order to pack up and get things going. Get into a storage, and get this place cleaned up, emptied, and ready for sale. Items are going to go into storage. Machines are going to go into storage. Things that are necessary are going to go into storage. I wanted to hold off and kind of surprise everyone when I have it set up. But, our injection molding machines are going to go into storage. Yes, we do have injection molding machines. And so those, completely automatic injection molding machines, those are going to have to go into storage and relocated probably to Texas. But they're not coming with me to Thailand. Um, in Thailand itself, I'm going to have to purchase new machines that are easier to get over there. Not everything that you have here is easy to get. You can get them, but they're not easy to get over there. So, so those are going to stay. When I get settled over there, I'll be able to resume printing. In the meantime, I'll have design. I do have a printer over there at the moment, so I'll resume. I'll continue to show pictures of new stuff, depending on the capabilities of the printers. I do have some, very unique printers here. The CR30, for example, large machines in the back, the CR10s, and I do have a number of smaller machines. A Vox Lab Aries, which is very good if you're looking for a new printer. A bunch of mini machines, which is very good for doing extremely small details, like the grading on this. The what you see there is only half a millimeter. You know, the thicker ones are 1 millimeter, but the thin I'm trying to find. Okay, the thin structures are half a millimeter. I can go even finer using filament printers, and because it's sturdy. It's not like resin. Something this thin with resin is going to snap and break. So I have printers for that do fine details like that. But everything has to get packed up and go. So long story short, moving to Thailand, it's going to take a toll on production. Nothing will be available on the store once things are sealed up by the, what was the date that I put? March 20, I think, or March 25th. I posted March 20 on the store. Whatever date I posted there, I won't be able to do anything else further until I get settled over there in Thailand. Get the office going over there. Purchase new machines, set up a workshop, things like that. But anyway, there's a lot of interesting things in my mind about new props, new things. So you'll see them again, and you'll see new stuff. And not only that, but the market over there in Thailand is, Asian market. They're really big on model kits. So the environment over there is quite different. Here, hobby stores, there's a few left. I remember more hobby stores in the 80s, more of an 80s kid. So early 80s especially. I remember growing up in New Orleans, there were at least 3 to 4 hobby stores. 3 in the general area where I lived, 1 on the other side of the river in New Orleans, Hub Hobby. They still exist. They're pretty good. Hub Hobby is a very good hobby store. It's a serious hobby store. But everyone else died off. There used to be in the area where I lived, there used to be at least 3 that was kind of close. One of them morphed from being a hobby store into a craft store. The other was in a mall. They were called Shamrock Hobbies. They were in a particular mall, Oakwood Shopping Mall. They moved in around 85 to another location, and then they just kind of died away. I guess the rent got more, and they couldn't maintain their stuff. Another one, I don't remember exactly where, but it was off a little highway, and that one just kind of just disappeared. Moved to Texas. There's at least 2 over there, or at least there's 1 over there now. So hobby stores do exist, but they're a lot less now, it seems. However, over there in Thailand, it's a different story. So hopefully the location over there will open up new creativity for me, new scales, not just the 6-inch G.I. Joe genre, but also the Figma type type stuff. There's also the Gundam genre that's out there, very big, really, very good quality models. Those things do need dioramas. It's easy to get all kinds of Gundam model kits and other model kits along the same lines, not necessarily Gundam brand, but other brands. There's a lot of stuff that you find over there that doesn't exist anywhere else, or at least here in the US, it's very hard to find. If you're into Hot Wheel cars, well, of course they have Hot Wheels over there, but they have other brands too. And some of those you just have nothing but car. What if you want to display them? There's no diorama that I see over there. If you want to make a diorama, it's got to be from scratch on a lot of things. So there's a lot of market over there that I hope to tap into. So you'll see DioWarriors come back, not just for the 1/18 scale, but in other scales for other stuff. Another idea is Lego. There's a lot of other options in terms of dioramas that we do here that would look great as a Lego prop. So, there's a lot of stuff out there that I can tap in more over there than I can over here. So, lots of interesting ideas. Obviously, the main target is the 1/18 scale. As you have seen already, I have an army of them. That's not going to go away, okay? So if you're into the 1/18 scale stuff, that's what we focus on primarily. And everything else going to be secondary because that's where my own collection is. Of course, some things may, depending on scheduling, but that's where my main thing is. So 1/18 scale, Die Hard. I'm also interested in the 6-inch scale stuff. So nothing bad about those. It's just that I don't have space for them. I do have the occasional, Cobra Trooper, Joe's, the occasional Figma, things like that. But and I do have some props that I was preparing for the 6-inch scale. So but our place over there is going to be a little bit bigger. There are more options. So you may see me come back with the 6-inch scale stuff and more of it. More options with it. You may see some of these 1/18 scale props upsized and redesigned a bit for 6-inch. So DioWarriors is, going to change, but still stay the same. It's going to have a different location, but still stay the same. All I can think of is that things are going to come out better. So right now things are hard. I have to get things on the packed up and in the clearance. So help me out, okay? If you want, paint items, I'm going to be putting things like accent colors, things like that, things that are, that I'm not going to be taking with me, but they're very good for highlighting and other paint applications. Those things are going to go. If you want to try your hand at an airbrush, get it with the airbrush cleaner, and all you have to do is just disconnect, disable it, disassemble it just a bit, just to access the parts that need to be cleaned with the airbrush. Let the airbrush cleaner soak, and do its thing, and then just test out. It's got a very quiet air compressor, so it's not using a tank of air. It's just using one of those air compressors that you plug in. When you press the button on the airbrush, the compressor clicks on. It's very soft, very quiet. It won't disturb anyone, even in the the next room or something. It's very quiet, friendly for apartments or whatever. So that's going to be hitting the clearance. If no one buys that, then I'm going to take it with me. But so it's not junk, nothing like that. Other items are going to be hitting the clearance. I have a number of these prototype shooting ranges that I had done. I don't remember how many are complete. These two look to be complete except for the back part here. So one has it and one does not. This one here does not. And I see that there's like things missing here, but if that doesn't bother you, it'll be available for on the on clearance. I got a bunch of these wooden barrels. They're actually 3D printed with real wood. I have others that are 3D printed with a facsimile of wood, not truly wood, but they look and feel like wood. And you can varnish them, you can paint them, and they look great. They tend to have the tops and bottoms. I don't have it right now in my hand. Well, I got one in my hand. So they're you can put these things and put them into a barrel, and either top or bottom. You can put food stuff on the top for a storefront. You can seal it off, both top and bottom, and they make a great prop for the cowboy line, chicken fried toys. So if you're looking for stuff for a town, a wagon, a saloon, these will be on clearance. It will be the last time to get them, because the only time I'll go back to actually print these is when I get some wood fill filament over there in Thailand, which is going to be a while, because my focus is going to be on recreating the VSS and getting inventory back up and running. Likewise, I got a bunch of these very polished, very smooth plastic barrels. They also need to go in clearance. Some of them will be opened. Some of them will have the covers. I don't have right now. I'm just looking at the little box that I grabbed this one on. So whatever is there, it'll be on for clearance. Oh yeah, I got. Looks like I got some blue ones. I got another yellow with a gray top. I have also these type of barrels in orange for the 6-inch figures, 1/12 scale. I'm also getting rid of these particular barrels. These are what I use for my dioramas. They are actually painted with real iron paint. So this is real rust. This is not a paint rust. This is real rust. So these things are printed in PLA. They are painted with real iron paint that is currently oxidizing. It's been oxidizing for the past several years. You can paint over it. You can do paint chips. You can do whatever you want with it. You can put a little a hair dryer, and it will soften up the PLA enough that you can add dents to it, so you can have a dented barrel. So whatever is available will be put on the store, on the clearance. I got others that are not painted with the rust. So, you can use these however you wish. all of these I can recreate, so I don't need to take them with me. But and I figure that anyone who's going to be going to the DioWarrior store, especially anyone looking at this stream, is they're going to have a love of dioramas and doing things with the props. So in other words, you guys, by default, I'm thinking will provide an excellent home of the stuff that I have made over the years. I'm going to start, shutting down the video, but in closing, just want to end it with a little bit of how I feel, kind of like inside about DioWarriors. Okay, is that we've been doing 3D printing for many years. Facebook showed me recently a memory for 12 years ago, but it's been more than that. When it comes to DioWarriors itself, why we made DioWarriors and things, you may hear this from other places, other companies that have founded. We wanted to make something that we wanted to build ourselves and sell it for others, that kind of thing. And that is very true about DioWarriors itself. Me and the team, we wanted something that can fill in the gap that we were feeling was not being addressed with the toy companies in general. The only ones who come close is Marauders. They are excellent, and their focus is on figures. So the equipment that they have for figures, and the limited supplies, like the limited stuff, like a locker room, things like that, excellent things. But we wanted other things too. So that's what started DioWarriors in general. Things that other places didn't quite do. And so we wanted to fill in those particular needs. The other thing too is that we are figure collectors. I say me and the team, because there's a few out there that they are involved, not directly into the production or anything like that, but they're part of the team. I can't do DioWarriors without them. So people like maybe I shouldn't say names just in case they don't want, but thing is that without them, DioWarriors would have been non-existent, or would have died off, or not died off. No, would have gone in a totally different direction. With that said, is that we are both figure collectors, figure customizers, and we make dioramas. So we really wanted something that focused on making a diorama to show our figure collections, to show our figure customs. And so we wanted something unique for our customs, because we are figure collectors and there's no one particular brand that we only collect. We're not only G.I. Joe, we're not only Star Wars, we're not only Joy Toy, we're not only Acid Ray, we're all of it. So we wanted something that would be neutral. So that's why we started with DioWarriors, and everything on DioWarriors is brand neutral. What you see with the VSS, for example, is brand neutral. You can take this to Star Wars, G.I. Joe, or any other brand, that fits it with the scale. And all the stuff inside can be taken out. All the props can be taken out and placed into a different theme. So you could have a Star Wars theme. You could have a Marvel Universe theme. You could have some other theme, and the props will work. So and that's why we are so varied with our different machines. We got wood items, laser cut wood items for the cowboy line specifically. Because, what kills off the immersion, especially when you become an adult and you start putting together things, adults don't play with toys in the same way as a young kid does. So, if you're an adult now that you grew up in the 80s, for example, you don't play with the toys in the same way, room, in the same way that you may have played with them in the past. So, adults tend to build model kits and display those model kits. Yeah, they will arrange and put, but basically it's build and display. And so when we do our particular props, we're targeting the adult. And I used to say adult collector and things like that, but some people joke around. But that's what we're doing. We're targeting the adult. So our particular props, they do require some sanding, some finishing, some painting, things like that. And they do have small parts. So if you do have kids and things, caution about that. You get a wood part, caution about splinters, even some of the plastic ones. But the thing is that we use real wood for some of the props, because, like, for example, the cowboy line, a saloon looks great if it's behind if there's a wooden bar that's there. If the piano is done in bar, if you have chairs that are done in real wood, if you have tables that are done in real wood, it looks a lot better than plastic. So, that's one reason why we kind of branch into other things. So anyway, all that is going to have to get recreated with brand new machines, brand new stuff over there in Thailand. And you will see things emerging from the US again, because, this is our home. So, our home and our home base. So, I'll be talking about Thailand more and more and more, but it's also the US. So anyway, with all of that said, I'm going to sign off. I got to begin the process of taking things apart. I may do another video, maybe live stream. No sound. It'll just be me taking things apart, and no talking or anything like that. So I may not have the sound at all. It'll just be the cam. And maybe in the future I'll do time lapse or something like that to show, going back and forth real fast. So any questions? Let me take another look at the comments and see if there's anyone asking questions. And if not, then I will begin the sad, lonely process of taking apart the VSS. So I feel good kind of explaining the history of the company, because, I do work on this with my heart and soul, literally. And what you get when you buy one of our props, you do get a little bit of me in there. And I spend a lot of time designing the things, making sure the things fit and assemble well. I do take things outside to get weathered and see how well they handle Florida weather, the humidity, the sun, things like that. If the items on ordering, if they don't look good, I try to redo them, things like that. So a lot of me is in the props. So with that, I'm going to start disassembling. Thank you for watching so long. If you have been watching throughout this this video, and I'll try to do other videos or updates, especially now that I have things hooked up to the laptop. And thanks. Catch y'all next time.